Good afternoon. I'm going to explain buzz design strategy in the business strategy game. I'm proud to say I was on the global top 100 list almost every week and finished number 2 globally for return on equity. My strategic vision or high-level goal was to be a high-volume, low-cost leader. So let's talk about different areas of the business and how I made decisions there to support that goal. First, let's discuss production. In the first year, you have a much higher cap for adding additional space for production than you do in any other year, so it's important to invest heavily the first year if you want to keep up on production. I always kept my production space higher than my actual production equipment use, so I could adjust to an increase in demand in any region. However, I always produced at my equipment capacity. That way I could keep the maximum bonus to quality. In low-cost leadership, quality control is important. I chose the bonus to reduce rejects by half in all factories. It's very important when you're producing in high volume. And as a method to drive demand, my goal is to offer the maximum varieties of shoes, which is 500 models, which necessitated the addition of the bonus to reduce setup costs for new runs. I knew I had to diversify to increase demand, and I couldn't differentiate on quality, being a low-cost leader, so I differentiated on variety. I saw other companies struggle by offering 500 models too early and suffering from a very low operating margin, while I increased model offerings incrementally as profit margins increased. The first week I focused heavily on company image by implementing corporate citizenship programs. The most important programs, and the only ones which I continued the whole game, were the on-site cafeteria and childcare and the improved safety and ventilation, which improved worker productivity and required minimal maintenance costs after a large upfront cost. These programs contributed more to worker productivity and company image than the same amount of money paid out directly to employees as fringe benefits. Let's talk about finances. The biggest I have for financial strategy is don't be afraid to take loans. I took out huge loans every decision year and used it to pay high dividends and buy back my own stock. Now, in the end, if I resold that stock, I could easily pay back all my loans and then some. Here we can see all the loans I have out right now. And yet I have billions of dollars in my own stock. You increase stock price through dividend payments. I chose to pay about 50% of profit each year as dividend payouts, and then buying back your own stock. When you buy back your own stock, you increase the price of the shares you already own, increasing the value of your existing stock assets. It's worth paying interest on loans that you use to buy your own stock when the stock increases in value more than that interest rate would account for. And as you invest more in your own stock, you're increasing the value of your previous investments. And as your credit rating improves, you can refinance loans by paying back higher interest loans early, like I'm doing here. I'm paying back a loan at 8.6% and taking out that same loan at 7.6%. Paying high dividends and repurchasing back your stock is a great way to increase your stock price as long as you keep your shareholder equity over $150 million. I may have missed out on exchange rate benefits, but I always sold shoes in the region where they were produced. I found this at the lowest warehouse costs, which got pretty high when working in such large volumes. It also added to my corporate image, which fought against the stereotype of exploiting lower income foreign labor. On the topic of labor, at the beginning I made sure to spend about $3,000 per employees on best practices training per year. It's a large investment, but it provides a permanent decrease in the cost for standard and superior materials, making it a long-term investment in lowering costs, which started to pay off more in later years. I then lowered that as the game was about to end and it wasn't worth continuing to make that investment. Another big factor in my success was the amount of private label I was able to provide. I had existing infrastructure to make all the shoes I need with regular time and let overtime work be the private label offerings. So if any private label contract wasn't accepted, it wouldn't affect my quality bonus from maxed capacity utilization. Once I started dominating certain regions in the private label by getting over 50% market share in some regions some years, I was able to dedicate regular time capacity to private label. The key here is to keep 0.1 star above the private label minimum, and to always have the minimum cost. For setting prices, I deliberately set prices very low to start because many of my competitors operating with an operating margin below many of my competitors in order to build up image and market share. I always sold shoes at the regional average quality rating for a lower price than any other shoe except the ones like multiple stars below mine for the ultra low cost strategy. I also tweaked the branded production percentages every year for superior materials percent, styling, and Six Sigma costs. Since each week the price of different materials changes, meaning it's sometimes more cost effective to depend on superior materials for your to increase your quality rating, and sometimes it's more effective to use enhanced styling. Let's look at final key performance indicators. I was able to finish off the final year with a EPS of almost $21, a 203% return on equity, and about a $588 stock price. I was able to stay first in my industry for each of these metrics each week. If we talk about credit rating, I had a little bit of an issue with credit rating being below my competitors here, but I was able to raise that up, and in future years it would continue to rise as the value of my stock continues to go up faster than my interest payments are causing me issues. I did have a slight dip in image rating on the final year with issues with celebrities. My closest competitor was company C in my same chosen strategy. In general, company F did very well on performance metrics, and we often split the private label market. However, their strategy was different. They offered fewer varieties of expensive, high-quality shoes, and it was fortunate that we had different strategies, so we weren't in strong competition for wholesale and internet sales. F. Cole did purchase way too many celebrities at one point, going way past the max for each region, but it successfully deprived me and their other competitors of that bonus. If the game were to continue, I would push more aggressively into the private label market, striving for 50% in each region by lowering my prices even more. I'm making a very comfortable profit margin both in the private label with $5 to $13 per shoe, and wholesale margins offering between 25 and 35%, reaching even higher in internet marketing. I would raise my wholesale internet prices a little bit more as they haven't raised their price, as my competitors haven't lowered their prices to match mine, so I can squeeze a little bit more out of my operating profit margin here. I need to focus a little bit more on celebrities, as the only week I saw a decrease in profit is when I lost celebrity appeal due to being outbid. I've since been much more aggressive with my bidding to maintain maximum celebrity appeal. So overall, I was able to be successful through high volume sales with a focus on decreasing costs and increasing demand, aggressive private label offerings, and financial dividends of 50% with high stock buybacks from loans. And this is how I was able to achieve an ROE of over 200%. Thank you, and have a nice day.